Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So in this one I mainly have some new Netflix Avatar stuff that we've seen on social media recently, but there is one small update here on the upcoming Kora comic, Mystery of Penkan Island. This is going to be the Mako one-shot comic that was properly officially revealed to us at New York Comic Con 2023. It's where we got the cover and a little bit of a sense for what it's going to be about. But notably, since New York Comic Con, we've been waiting for the official announcement of the book with a release date and the description. We have not got that yet. So that still is something we're waiting for any month now, for that book to actually be officially solicited. And that's why there are no listings for this book up online yet. It's just they did a convention announcement and we still only have that information. So Alexandria Monique is the artist on the Mako comic, as well as far as we're aware, the two one-shot comics that are going to follow that for Kora. And she gave this update back on December 31st. So nearly 3 weeks ago. I missed this. I hadn't checked her Twitter in a while. But in relation to what are your comic-related goals for 2024, she says, let's just say, blame me for the wait, people. It's been a rough year for me and I'm slower than I've ever been, but hopefully it'll be worth it. My goal is to be faster and better. And given that we know she is the artist on the Kora comics, I have to assume that is what she is talking about, because otherwise there's no obvious context given for what she's referring to here, but I'm assuming the Kora comic is her main project she's working on right now, and that is why news-wise, there hasn't been as much progress on that book as we would have expected. She's saying it is on her, that it has been a rough year, and I guess work has been slow on it. And she's trying to be better about that going forward. This is one of those things where I'm like, look, I'm not going to blame her for this. I appreciate that she's come out and kind of communicated this and kind of said that, hey, I'm trying to get kind of faster. Things have been bad this year. That's perfectly fine and understandable. The issue that I always have with kind of stuff surrounding kind of comic delays is when there's just absolute silence. This is a reason for why we have not heard news, and it's a good reason in my mind. So I appreciate her coming out and saying this, and kind of, in a way, kind of, it must have been a little bit of a brave thing, kind of scared thing, kind of in a way admitting to the fandom that hey, I'm kind of the reason you don't know more about the comic. And that's fine. I'm assuming there's a sense of just adapting to the schedule of the kind of 372-page books. We know Irene Coe, for instance, kind of struggled with the schedule required, and that's why she was out after Turf Wars. So I'm assuming maybe Alexandria Monique is potentially kind of struggling with that format that's required. Because again, when they first talked about this book, they talked about it as if it was going to be a 2023 book. They said it would be out in 2023. It's not coming out in 2023. And at this point, it's looking like it's going to be the second half, very late, probably 2024. So somewhere in the middle of everything, this book has been scheduled for late 2023 and is now scheduled for 2024. A year's worth of delays. I assume some of it is the logistical delays that we've been just experiencing across the board, but some of it is, as Alexandria Monique says here. So yeah, for me, I appreciate this update. At least we have a sense for sort of what's going on, but we still probably would expect this to be solicited any month now, for probably August, September, October, November 2024, as a really rough guess. But on to the Netflix Avatar news. So Albert Kim has been posting a few things over the last few days. It's getting to be quite a while now since the teaser trailer. Everyone just wants to see the full trailer. Every post that relates to any piece of news about Netflix Avatar just has people asking about the trailer. And even in his post here, it's less than 5 weeks to go. I know people are waiting to hear and see more. And then he just says, just know it will be a show. I don't make much of what he says here. Usually when you say this, you follow it with, and here is why you haven't heard more, or here is when you will hear more. He just posts a picture of the cabbages, which is a fun reference, of course, but doesn't really tell us too much because people know what a cabbage looks like. So that, and that is the point here, is that we are under 5 weeks to go on this thing. It's like, what, 34 days away at this point. Netflix One Piece had the trailer 40 days beforehand, so we're under that kind of range of like, okay, trailer anytime now, please. Just like an hour or two ago, the official account posted these 4 posters. So we got Aang here. All of them have the Master Your Element tagline here, February 22nd. And we see Aang here. Katara. I think the Katara one's probably my favorite. Sokka, Master Your Element, the boomerang, obviously, because there's no main character earthbender in the show yet. And Zuko. Obviously, these are these kind of poster promo shots. There's clearly a lot of editing work done on these, so they're very kind of, they've got very, it feels like kind of artificial kind of lighting, and like they maybe don't give them the most amazing impression of like how the show is going to look from a like how the show will look perspective. And we've seen this in some of the other posters before. There is a bit of an odd style to them. I feel, just in terms of like how almost over edited they are, but it is cool to see different poses here. Like you can get a sense for like there's some spirals of air here you can see in the dust, so they're maybe giving us a little teaser of what airbending is going to look like on the Aang poster. Of course, Katara is actually doing some water bending here, and that looks relatively nice. You can also see the kind of some Water Tribe background stuff here, which is kind of cool. Here I guess is more of an Earth Kingdom town, and you get another look at the boomerang as well. With Zuko, again, you get a look at the fire. I guess some Fire Nation stuff going on here is quite cool. Otherwise, maybe the scar here on Zuko is an interesting one, because it has been a topic of discussion. In a lot of the shots that we've seen so far, it almost seems like they've made an effort to not massively emphasize it and not make it look really kind of like angry in terms of like just how vicious the scar actually is. I have to say, just the colors here, and again, it might just be the lighting, it looks particularly red here, whereas I think in a lot of the other shots that we've seen, like from maybe the actual trailer, it looks a little bit more kind of like pink and not as like angry, like I said. So it's going to be an interesting one to see what the final product is like with that, in terms of like, do they try and emphasize the scar more because of kind of some fan criticisms, or is it just literally what the makeup was like on that day that those shots were done? Interesting to see. But yeah, we've seen the 4 main characters before. We know what they look like. We want to see them in action. We want to see them saying lines. That's what I want at this point. I want to see the actors, their performance within the character. For months now, we've known how they look. I want to get another sense of what this show is actually going to be like. Albert Kim then posted this, which is this link to Games Radar, which is this article, which effectively is just talking about an interview that with SFX magazine. They only take a few quotes out of it, but I don't really know what the rest of the magazine has. Based on the Total Film and EW stuff, these news articles about an article in the magazine typically give you the main event. So in this case, it is just comments about what the changes are going to be like between this live action version and the original animation. He notes we're going to see the attack on the Southern Air Temple as part of the Air Nomad genocide. We knew this from the teaser trailer, so this isn't really like new. Maybe the detail that like it seems like, okay, specifically it's the Southern Temple that they're showing, potentially highlighting that, oh, so we're not going to see the others. But I think that makes sense. Like, they have an actor for Gyatso. I think we know we're going to see Sozin in this scene. This is where the main focus of the attack is. But I wonder how much they'll emphasize the attack on the other temples and the rest of the world. We'll have to wait and see on that. Otherwise, there's a mention that like Azula is going to feature much more heavily here. Whereas in the animation, of course, she's only in like two small scenes in flashback, and then right at the end as like a teaser. In this case, they highlight that, yeah, they have the advantage of knowing what's ahead, so they can better, in their mind, for their show, set it up a little bit more ahead of time. And probably the most interesting quote from that is just the idea of, just highlighting that, like, yeah, they know, for their format that they have, 8 episodes versus 20 episodes of Avatar, they have to be a little bit more continuous story driven, because they can't just they don't have the benefit of being able to do like 9 weekly stories in a row like book 1 kind of does at certain points. So yeah, they're able to do that. It'll be less adventure of the week. That's the way they phrase it here. He says that the classic showrunner line on live action shows is this, of like, how do you deal with changes? There are things we wanted to change, but not just for the sake of change. There had to be a reason for the change. This will obviously be something that everyone will judge in their own way when they see the show. Because a lot of shows, like they mentioned, they referenced that the magazine also has a little bit of an article on Halo Season 2. The first season of Halo was a perfect example of they changed way too much. And even though they made it very clear to people that they're making a lot of changes and don't view this in the exact same way, fans were still very critical, and I agree with a lot of it, about they went too far with the changes. It was not a good adaptation, at least in Season 1. We'll see how Season 2 goes, but they don't want to fall into that trap here. I think they know what not to do from Netflix Avatar. But again, Albert Kim came out in an interview and said he's never seen the thing. So make of that what you will. So I hope when they say there's a reason, that the reason is good. That's the other part of this. And obviously we'll judge that for ourselves when we see the different changes. Because I think inevitably there probably will be bits and pieces that we feel is changing too much. And that's inevitably going to be the case because they have 8 episodes. And even though they have a lot of time, pretty much equivalent to the amount of time they have in the 20 episodes of the animation, there's just not enough room in the live action to do how many one-off stories there are in book 1. In that, just quickly going through it. Like, episode 1, 2, 3 are kind of a combined intro arc. Episode 4 is on its own, 5 is on its own, 6 is on its own, 7 and 8 are a 2-parter, and then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 are all pretty much, we're in a new place at the start of each of those episodes. And then 18, 19, 20 is the Northern Water Tribe arc. So you can see there's only like 3 groups of episodes across a 20 episode season that are properly, this directly leads into this one in a drama way, which is what this show is obviously going to try to do a little bit more. Have the arcs directly bleed into the next episode, so there's not as much of open up a new episode and now we're here in the middle of the Earth Kingdom. That's kind of, I think, what they obviously want to avoid overall. So we'll see how that all ends up working out. But we need to see more of it. And that, I think, it brings up kind of the last thing I'll mention here is just the idea of, I hope we get to see the trailer soon. I really, really do. I do think tomorrow, Saturday, will be a good day for the trailer, because I think the Netflix One Piece full trailer released on a Saturday, and it feels like they've done the right amount of sort of like releasing an article, a day or two of some social media posts. They've released some posters. I think they've done the right little setup to drop a trailer tomorrow and just have the hype be like big heading into the last couple of weeks. And then like there's events like the Super Bowl where they can maybe put out another TV spot and just do all the other little bits and pieces that they need to. But it's just, I think a lot of people just need to see this trailer to just get that final sense for, some of the stuff that they weren't willing to show in the teaser trailer, because I think a lot of people are in agreement that, like, how many more shots of the main characters do we need to see before it's just like, hey, show us some of these changes, show us some scenes. Like, at this point, why are you hiding it? And you kind of begin to go into the category of, are you not confident enough, or are you overconfident that you feel you can hold it back long enough? I trust that they have the plan in place, that the trailer will absolutely deliver whenever it drops. It's just, as fans, we want it ASAP. And I think it's just been frustrating covering this when we only have like there's only so much to say about this shot here. Because we've seen what Aang looks like in the show, I want the other stuff that's more detailed and interesting. But yeah, in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this news. What seems to be at least a general broad update on the project that is the Mako comic here from Alexandria Monique. And then a couple of little hype kind of pieces here on Netflix Avatar, with the big posters here being the main thing, but maybe some of the comments in the interview being a little bit interesting from Albert Kim. But let me know in the comments, when do you think the trailer is coming? Is this stuff building up to like literally a day or two away, or are we waiting until like the end of January, very start of February, or are we going to leave it very, very late? Will they wait till the Super Bowl, 11 days beforehand? Feels a little bit too close, but I feel they'll probably have something at the Super Bowl, but I don't think they'll do the main trailer at the Super Bowl. That's my thoughts on that. But let me know what your thoughts are on all this news, but that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.